This is the third episode of the In the City recap podcast, the greater name being reality TV is self-help. And I'm definitely into this show. I did just have to stop another show that I just started on HBO. So if you have Crave, I'm only a few minutes in, but I'd say check it out. Just because if you like documentaries, it's worth taking a risk. But I'm only 6 minutes and 49 seconds in. It's called Bring Me the Beauties, a model cult. And one of the first men that they show that they're interviewing, who seems to be the focus of it, his name is Hoyt Richards, Hoyt Richards. And I was like, who is this man? I looked him up. He was the most successful male supermodel at some point in time, which I had never heard of him. I guess because I'm born in 1984, so it seems that he was maybe around that time super popular. So yeah, this weird man, not him, some other weird man, created this cult pulling all these super hot model people into it, and I don't know much more than that because I'm only 6 minutes and 49 seconds in, as I said. So yeah, check that out, as I will be once this is done. It's the Kenny and Lindsay show right now. They are at the forefront of my mind. Yes, Kyle and Amanda matter, and we're seeing that flipping around with Amanda shooting on May 5th, talking about the lunch. It's good that they showed that right off the top. They could have teased it to the end of the episode as well, because it is so shocking to see Amanda put one hand out to Ciara, one hand out to West at a table, the three of them. I'm breaking up with Kyle, and she still gets to have the West reaction face on and the Ciara reaction, but they're not looking at each other. And so every so often Amanda looks over at West, and you just see the joy in her eyes that she's never shown for so many years. Also them saying on the second part of the reunion that Amanda and Kyle have not had sex for their whole marriage, which it is so shocking. I'm not going to be able to get over this anytime soon. I can't believe both of them agreed with it, because I just think, what? You have not had sex once in the whole time your marriage has happened. And also, doesn't that make isn't it, maybe they changed the old laws. I thought that you had to consummate a marriage to make it legal, but maybe that's just an outdated belief. I don't know. But anyways, that's neither, it is here and there, because it's still the same people. So we'll see. And Wes saying Manders, just this shorthand between them is so gross. And talking about sharing locations, and Amanda saying she was checking Ciara's location. So, and then Ciara saying, I forget you have it. And then, well, now we know she doesn't forget because of the fact that Amanda was hooking up with West. So then West goes to Amanda about the separation with Kyle. How do we feel? And okay, then they're showing, I can't remember whether they're showing it at Amanda, which part, but saying Ciara has been my best friend for a few years now, obsessed with that woman. You certainly are obsessed with her. You are obsessed with, this is the thing, is I was like, Amanda's a single white female, but she's doing it to a black woman, so I don't know if the fact that it's still called single white femaling it, single white femaling it at a black woman. I don't know how to describe it, but that's what it feels like Amanda is doing with Ciara. So yeah, I think she is obsessed with that woman. They're the perfect trio, and Amanda jokes, this is West's dream his whole life to have this moment, and I'm sure it is, because I'm sure he has fantasized about a threesome with Amanda and Ciara, and I'm sure he was loving that attention so much. So May 5th, what Amanda recorded, she says, no, this was my friend, and she's so defensive, because Amanda has very strong morals, and she will not let us forget it, except for this one big moral thing that she refuses to apologize, but otherwise all her morals are perfect. She said, he seems prepared based... Oh, this is again where Amanda doesn't acknowledge that, hey, oh, by the way, I threw you under the bus when I pretended when Kyle brought it up at that front porch scene at the house, summer house, the last day leaving, that as if though I didn't agree with you, that when you suggested that a separation might be good for Kyle and I. So instead, Amanda, it shows she is aware of what she's doing, because she frames things where she's just saying just enough, because she said, he seems prepared about Kyle when she's talking about her splitting up from Kyle and getting her own place. She goes, he seems prepared based off the convo you had on the beach. She doesn't admit she threw Ciara under the bus, and that Kyle wasn't blindsided, because Amanda was actually going back and forth. Oh, it's starting to rain outside. Back and forth with Amanda, where they were both agreeing with this, and Ciara doesn't yet have any idea that Amanda is a sketchy traitor to her own self that has done some really, really scary things. So then we see Okay, Kenny starts to tell a little bit about his life. It was really, really interesting to hear that Kenny, he said he grew up in a shack, at least for some time period as a kid. They shared one bed. It was his mom, and I believe he had two siblings. That there was at least one sibling, maybe two. And so he came from humble beginnings, and now we see he's a venture capitalist, so he's worked very hard to get to where he is. His apartment is his dream place. Whitney is the first woman to move in with him. He's a crystal guy, which we know Spencer Pratt's also a big time crystal guy, and that went haywire. So, I mean, it's good that Spencer makes a profit. I guess it's good. I don't know. I unfollowed Spencer because I found out that he was posting, he was reposting Joe Rogan. He is a Republican person, so that was very disappointing. But Spencer was also losing his damn mind on the hills when he got obsessed with crystals. So, Kenny, keep that crystal addiction in check, please. Okay, so crystal guy, change your energy, change your life. He says Kenny is funny. I think he has issues, and I think we would piss each other off. He would find me a man hater as I can be. Or as Lindsay said, she just doesn't like annoying men. That's what I feel, but a lot of men are annoying, so it looks like I'm a man hater, but when I meet great men, as rarely as that is, I want to celebrate them, but it's just very hard to find those people. So, yeah, as Kenny was saying, change your energy, change your life. He has a slight sneer with how his lips move. You can kind of see a quick hint of how mean he can be. That's what I think. We haven't seen how mean he can be yet. We see him that he likes to escalate a situation with Lindsay. It's really interesting because I worked in social services for 6 years, whereas it's a very dysfunctional environment because the clients are under a lot of stress. So yes, sometimes physical assault does happen on staff because of mental health issues, addiction issues, just even being in the wrong spot at the wrong time, like so many different things that go together. But if someone was like Kenny, he's now had 2 fights with Lindsay. So in that kind of a job, Kenny wouldn't do well because even if you don't yell or you don't do anything, if conflict is coming up around you. So for Kenny, Lindsay's getting super pissed, but Kenny would also have to kind of look at himself in my old job. If he was the worker, they're supposed to be on an equal playing field just as two, they're not even friends. So just people who kind of casually know each other. So yeah, I think that Kenny also has some drama issues as well. And I say that as someone who I also am dramatic in the sense that if I get close to someone, yeah, then there can be stuff that's going to come up. And no, I don't regularly get to the level that Lindsay is, but if I was going deep with a conversation with someone, it was really personal, and if the guy was talking to me the way that Kenny was talking to Lindsay, I could see myself not being that much at that level, but saying something and just saying, getting really pissed off at him. So yeah, there's that. Whitney, his girlfriend, is so calm. So he starts making fun of, she has these wood balls, these 3 different sizes of wood balls. He says, I don't want it to feel like a wood shop. And then it's so funny. They show how many different wooden things he has in his apartment. So again, it's more that he doesn't want to compromise with Whitney. And then Whitney starts crying, talking about it's so hard. She has really good, close friendships with women in LA. It's very hard in New York City. She's feeling a little excluded because she just does not know people that well yet. And I think she did put herself out there in this episode. And I think the women realized, she's a person. Because it's hard to see because she is very pageantry. I don't know if she even has a background in pageants, but Whitney was hard to read the first couple of episodes because she's very composed, but it almost seems like she's like that perfect model, almost like a mannequin, but you're like, who's in there? I'm starting to see more depth, and I think through her showing the women that it's been hard, that they were all kind of like, I think everybody felt compassion for her. Amanda, we don't know what she fully felt, but it seemed like she felt compassion, but we'll see what happens there. And going down, we see, so yeah, Kenny laughs at Whitney. He then finally is able to offer words of compassion, and I saw that it was a struggle for him, though, to do that. So again, this is what's being filmed, and he knows when the cameras are on, I am a supportive boyfriend, I'm in this role, I'm a good guy. And so yeah, he was able to say, I can imagine that it's a big deal for you, referring to the move across country and everything she's not been able to replace yet, like a good friend group. And then we see that brunch, and so we see Lindsay and Danielle talk it out. Danielle at least was apologizing to Lindsay, and that was good to see, because I do think Danielle has been very jealous of Lindsay, and I think Lindsay was horrible to Danielle with the engagement party, and all that stuff went too far, and Danielle did things that took it too far too, like making it about herself at the engagement party, telling all the different people in Lindsay's family and friend group about what was going on with them friendship wise and conflict wise, and that was not a good choice. So they both done different things to each other, but I do think Danielle has a jealousy that Lindsay has never had that jealousy towards Danielle, and I do think Danielle acted out more than Lindsay has in their friendship to try to pull down Lindsay because of how good Lindsay is at marketing herself. So yeah, they have this conversation, they talk it out, they go to the brunch together. They're going to try to take baby steps, and I do believe this part. Danielle was saying, I would love to see baby photos of Gemma, and yeah, I think she really would love to be a part of Lindsay's life. She also was denying the hand job thing, but everything I've seen is that it's on camera from that point in time, Danielle admitting that happened. So that I don't, but I don't know if that was why Lindsay wasn't willing to break a fourth wall and say, but you did say that on camera, because her eyes were kind of glimmering like, what? But they didn't show her full reaction. Okay, Yvonne, I saw someone compare Yvonne's voice and style of speaking to Drew Barrymore, and I wrote, now I'll never unsee it and unhear it. It's so true, but I love Drew Barrymore, so if there's someone who you're going to sound like and speak some more similarly to, then that's a good person to do that. Danielle's opinion, okay, she said the ones I usually get the most in trouble for, I'm right about. Then I said, what about with her own life? Because yes, it is true, Danielle was able to see, as most of us were, that it was probably not going to go well for Lindsay and Carl because of how much Carl is avoidant and Lindsay is anxiously attached. Not that I knew that language at the time, but just seeing how Lindsay communicates, and then that Carl struggles to say what he's really feeling, and he gets very uncomfortable in conflict, or at least he did back when he was with Lindsay. I think that has also changed a lot. So let's see what else. Danielle's opinion. So yeah, but I'm thinking her own life. So because she is with who's apparently a married man, his ex is in Ireland from what they're telling us, and that it sounds like maybe they have been split up for a long time and she doesn't care because she just wants a divorce from him. But it apparently takes 2 years or something in Ireland. These are some of the things I'm reading and hearing online, maybe even from the show. So we need some clarity there about what really went on, since Danielle and Owen did know each other from a long time ago too. Like, what kind of keeping in contact did you do? Because that could be inappropriate, keeping that door open. But I'm a very old-fashioned person of, I'm not friends with men, and I'm straight, and I don't want to be dating a guy that's friends with tons of women. That would stress me out and make me uncomfortable. That could just be me being insecure, because I am insecure, so I don't know. But yeah, so what I'm saying is, with Danielle and Owen, it's a little fishy. If they kept some flirty type of thing, then that's not cool. So he's gonna have to explain the marriage, what's going on, why it's not legally ended, and there could be some clarity that I think would make more sense with him and Danielle. And why were you willing to move in if you were already in a relationship that you thought you said, because you got married, that you thought it was going to last for the rest of your whole entire life, and that hasn't worked out? How come you're so quickly moving in with Danielle after 5 months and now having a baby with her, when you weren't able to make the relationship you said was going to last forever survive? Because that's the thing. I don't know. I've never been married, but maybe I should. I'm wondering that lately, because I'm like, maybe I should. I date guys that, because I know I can just not easily break up with them, but I'm not legally married to them. Then I'm like, I'll date guys that I don't think I'm suitable for in the long run, longer than I would if I had to get married to them. So that's one thing I was thinking. I'm like, okay, just kind of imagine you did have to get married to them. Would you break up with them to start over because you would never get married to someone like this? Then that should be an answer for you. Oh yeah, sorry, going back to this detail though, is Kenny saying to Danielle, are you okay? Rachel Zoe's famous tagline. So Kenny, you're welcome. Compliments to Rachel. And then, are you on glue right now? And he immediately calls a woman crazy when she gets pissed at him. Now, Lindsay is behaving in a way that is very over the top, and because she has such a nasally voice too, I don't find Lindsay scary when she's getting mad. It's hard to imagine if it's totally directed at me, but the way she communicates does not stress me out, bother me. I actually would be relaxed in the presence of Lindsay, because I like how she communicates. People who are like that don't scare me. But I want to learn more about Kenny, especially with his attachment to his mom. So I'm wondering, he seems to be genuinely scared of Lindsay, even though I don't think he should be. That's what I'm kind of seeing a little bit on his face, is I feel like he's had a woman who's maybe been in his life really be mean to him, who raised him, because yeah, I don't know why he's so triggered by Lindsay. I think he is gaslighting her. I think he's totally been comfortable driving women crazy before, but there's just something kind of there that I want to see. And are you on glue? So she obviously did not appreciate hearing that. And Okay, so it also talks about Danielle and Amanda having a beef because, for example, when they showed back in the day a few seasons ago, there was some question with the game together. Who do you trust the least? Danielle said it was Amanda. So that would kind of prove that Danielle has had a couple opinions at least about Carl and Lindsay, and then also about Amanda's trustworthiness that have been accurate. But she gets a lot of blowback for them because she says them too directly. So I'm wondering if maybe I'm a little more like Danielle than I realized, because I feel like that's kind of my thing, is I'll notice things about people and I'll say it, but I always say things too early and then I look really rude for thinking it, but then sometimes this stuff happens, but it takes like years. So that's why I should just keep my trap shut sometimes. And Kenny says, if you have an issue with Lindsay, you have an issue with 5 girls. And then I think Lindsay's going, Jesus, this guy. And then, sorry, Lindsay goes, sorry, I have best fucking friends. And then Amanda goes, I'm not one of Lindsay's girls. And it's so funny because I'm thinking, Amanda, just wait. However, 6+ months from now, you will be wishing you could have ever even had a chance in hell of being one of Lindsay's girls. If you had Lindsay on your team and weren't such an ass. So you're correct. You're not one of her minions, as the joke was going. Yvonne and Lindsay have been friends for 16 years. I really like Yvonne. Gavin, who is Kenny's bestie, who I love I want to see a lot more of their dynamic, and I can't wait to see more of their dynamic up close, because there's so much that's being covered. That's what's hard, is we all attach to different things, and I want to see, Gavin and Kenny. So Kenny's about to he acts out punching, and you can tell he's happy. So Kenny's about to get it. Pay attention, standing up. Are you on glue? You seem wound up, you seem activated. So he knows Lindsay's lines about herself. She goes, yeah, I am activated because you're dumb. And then he goes, he won't even give her a fucking closet. And then Nick asks Whitney a question. That's Yvonne's husband. Asks Whitney, Kenny's girlfriend, a question. For now, we live under the tyranny of Lindsay Hubbard, I believe. That is what Kenny says. And then we find out Whitney is told that Kenny, her boyfriend, who she's just moved across the country for, says that she might not be the person he has like the spark with. And she's told this by Lexi, Andrea's wife, that Andrea said that to her and she wants to pass it along as a good friend. Whitney starts to cry a bit and breaks down and shows more of who she is as a real person, and saying, this is really triggering for me because my other ex, or Kenny's not an ex at this point in time, I think he will be probably one day, but she goes, my ex told me I just wasn't it. I just wasn't the woman for him, so he said, you're just not it. And then Georgina's face was like, oh my God. Kyle and Amanda, we see them on the street wearing matching Loverboy sweatshirts. They're doing this podcast. They're not going to talk about anything that's happening. Amanda lets Kyle know she could only find a 1-year lease in a place that could accept dogs, that could do all of this. So it's been signed. It's a lot for him to take in because it no longer feels temporary, because it's not. She keeps saying, we're not separating, as she loves to say. And then I said, wine. We see Whitney with Kenny trying to have a conversation about what she heard, bringing it up to his face. And I noticed when he was tasting the wine, he was like, that's great, thank you. The way he was thanking the server or something, because you can tell he's so nervous. It made me go, has he cheated on her a bunch? Because he looked so scared to hear what Whitney was going to say to him, that I was really wondering what was running through his mind, or if it's just the nerves of being on camera, because that could totally be it. That's what I always try to remind myself is, especially if someone's new, they are also on camera for the first time, where their life is being documented and it's going to be magnified. So that's already a stressor in itself. So maybe it's not guilt that was making him look like this. So I said, I think he's an ass, but I don't hate him. And that's a good sign that it's not pure disgust, because that's the kind of males that I'm like, I have hope for you. But often we see that hope does not lead to change in most of these Bravo men. We see next week, Amanda is asking Kyle, are you still in love with me? And we see, I was not running my mouth, Andrea screaming at Kenny. So I've been saying I could do without Andrea, because him and his wife seem so happy together. They're too functional. I don't really need them on the show. But seeing Andrea, for good reason, I think she is a good person, lose his temper next week at Kenny, after Kenny's been bitching at this comes full circle. He's been saying Lindsay's the drama queen, but so far, the common denominator is Kenny on In the City when other people start yelling. So it's reminding me of someone that was an ex-friend that I finally cut off last summer, and she would tell me, and I had so many years ago, I had actually yelled at her and just been like, you're a spoiled bitch, like, get away from me. I was so mad. And so I never, for so many years, I became friends with her again. Like, I took a break from her because I was honestly so mad at her. But I felt so bad that I yelled at someone that I'm friends with, and I just don't want to communicate that way and get to that point. And I never reached that point again with her. But she would always tell me, and it was comforting, about how other people got really yelly with her, like all different people, and she would never understand why they were getting so pissed off at her. And I'm like thinking in my head, how does she not see, like, because I've gotten so pissed off at her, she would never validate you if you're getting mad at her. That's the thing. She would like gaslight me all the time. But it just shows, don't you notice why all these other people are getting pissed off at you? So Kenny, you seem like you might be the drama. Anyways, thank you so much for listening to episode 3 of the In the City Recap podcast. I went way over 10 minutes. I need to change this description in my bio. Also, if you live in Vancouver, the surrounding areas, and you're hearing this, please come to Goodco Granville next week, 6 p.m. for the seating, 7 p.m. for the show. It is the final countdown. It is the final part of the reunion for Summer House. Be there or be square. It's going to be epic, epic television, and I'm still hoping for an apology from both of them, a real one.